Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm your host Tony Coleman, and today I'm just going to give you kind of a brief rundown of CashMagnet. This is an application that is in the beer money community where you can make a few extra bucks every month. It's easy to set up, difficult for non-techie people to kind of understand what's going on, but I'm going to try and go through it a little bit to help you figure that out. Yes, there's a lot of videos out there on it, a lot of outdated videos because they've changed the apps over the years. The only reason I'm really doing a video on it is because I've found people wanting a simple, straightforward idea of how to get started with it and just to get to earning without having to research a whole lot of information. With CashMagnet, it's one of those things where there's a lot of tweaks you can do to make your phone run a lot smoother. There's so many factors involved because CashMagnet's doing a lot of things on your device. Before you get into using CashMagnet, you need to understand that it will take over your phone pretty much 100%, so you need to dedicate a device to it. Some versions of Android seem to work better than others. I would recommend having a minimum of Android 7, but honestly, I would say probably Android 8 or 9 probably runs best. It's getting harder and harder to find phones that have those versions of Android on them. So if you're not real big into rooting your phone or changing the ROMs and all that stuff, you're probably better off just dealing with either lower earnings or some of the extra hassles come with it. But to get started, basically you just go to cashmagnetapp.com. I'll have the link in the description of the video. You can use my referral link. It won't, change your earnings at all, but it may help me out with a few pennies here and there. But you go to their website, register, because you really can't register from the app. It's just going to take you to the website anyway. So go to the website, register an account, get all set up. You can download the application if you're using the browser within your phone. Basically right here, I would ignore program for level 7 and beta 7 level because those are actually for the old versions of CashMagnet that are now deprecated and no longer really usable. So just ignore those two options because they really aren't going to do anything for you and will just confuse you more for no gain. But you can install the app for Android. I would recommend doing it directly from your phone. This will also be considered a side loading, so you may have to change some of your settings within Android in order to be able to install it. Or the easier way, and the way I would recommend doing it, is just go to the Google Play Store and search for a program called Dots One-Line Connector. This is CashMagnet, only hidden within Google Play because Google keeps trying to pull it out of the Play Store and they don't want it pulled. So you will need to go there to get it. And the reason I recommend getting it from the Play Store is because if there's an update, you're able to get those updates without having to go back to the website and re-download. And some people prefer not having auto updates. Some people do. I prefer the auto updates because I usually want mine kept up to date with the latest versions. That usually corrects a lot of problems. Every once in a while they introduce problems. I think the older version of the CashMagnet that was on their site had some issues, and people weren't understanding why they were having troubles when others weren't, and it ended up being something with that version was just problematic. So once you've downloaded it, you've installed it, it's pretty straightforward. I could show you on an actual screen after I'm done discussing it here to kind of give you an idea, but I think it's pretty well straightforward. It'll tell you what you have to enable because you're going to want it to be able to draw over other apps and monitor them and basically give them access to your entire phone is what it's basically doing. But you turn that on, and then You just basically tell it to start CashMagnet, and what it'll do is start downloading some apps. Now, you won't necessarily see it download those apps immediately. It may take a while. Usually it takes about 2 to 3 days before CashMagnet actually starts earning anything. And you might even start out earning less than a penny for a few days before it picks up some of the apps that it needs to actually make decent earnings. But keep that in mind that even though it's installed and running, you may not see any benefit for at least a couple days. And I'll kind of show you under my statistics here what I mean by that. This one hasn't been running for a while. I do have multiple IPs, but I don't monitor my phones constantly to keep them up and going. Some models of phones have more problems than others, like the Mode phone that's made by Mode Earn. The Mode phone is a terrible phone. Don't ever buy anything from Mode. They are a shady company and their hardware is garbage. The Mode phone does not keep the settings it needs, so I have to pretty much daily go and turn those settings back on. And that's why you see a couple days not earning anything, but as you can see, it does earn points when it is on that. 54 points here, that's only 5.4 cents, so even when it's been earning low. That's not how it always earns. Sometimes it'll pick up and earn better, but that's just an example of what's going on there. This is a visible midnight phone. As you can see here, it made 27 cents that day, but then it dropped off. That's because the phone pretty well went offline for a day. I had to go address it, and then when it came back on, it was on for about a day and a half before it started having issues again. One of my midnight phones has a bloated battery. I'm not sure if it's this one or the other one. And then the other one, for whatever reason, it had restarted itself, so it just didn't really earn well. There are days that the midnights earn great, so don't take this as a sign of never using those phones. It's just every phone you come in touch with, sometimes they'll earn great, sometimes crap. So here, this is a one of my Nokia phones. It's an older prepaid AT&T. It's bloated, but as you can see, it was only earning passively with the minimums for several days, and then suddenly it ticked up, and then that was last night, and it hasn't earned much yet today. So it went from earning less than a penny a day to about 13 cents, back down to nothing because that needs to be addressed. This is a Galaxy on 5. Right now it's just basically earning its idle time. It's not earning from any of the installs. Not sure why it's not getting anything, but sometimes you just gotta wait through it. It may need something uninstalled so that it opens up more space. If you're out of space, it may not download the type of content you're wanting it to. So you gotta kind of keep on top of these things. Like, this is a Blue View phone, View 2 actually. Right now this specific one isn't earning well, but this one I addressed yesterday and it's already making 24 cents today, so it's probably going to be earning well again. So I probably need to go back to the View 2 on this one and address it. It probably dropped off the connection. I've got a few wireless connections that aren't very stable, and so that's why some of these just drop off. The way I've got things set up isn't optimal for beer money community style phone farming, but it works. Some days all of my connections are working great. Some days they're shoddy. It just depends. Plus, I'm kind of abusing my internet provider in a way that they're not supposed to work, but it is, so I'm taking advantage of it. This is a Hot Pepper Ghost phone that I got from Visible. It is bloated, so that's not the actual problem for its earnings. It's kind of like the Mode phone where it loses its settings to where you have to go address it about every day. Otherwise, it doesn't earn well for you. This is an S8 Plus. As you can see, 25 cents, dropped to 6, 8, back up to 44, almost 49 cents, 28 cents, 22 cents. So far today, it's only about 4.5 cents. So it earns well for me, but there's some days that it doesn't earn very well. This one is extremely bloated, and as you can see, it's earning well. So just because the phone's bloated doesn't necessarily means it won't earn. I don't recommend that you run bloated phones, by the way. That is considered dangerous. I've never seen a phone that was bloated actually explode and cause flames or anything, but I have seen the videos on YouTube and read the warnings and stuff, and you know, it can get pretty nasty, but I think they're so rare and so uncommon that for me it's worth the risk. But moving on, this is J3 Orbit phone. J3 Orbits I found were terrible for beer money. I don't know why they were so bad of phones, because they ran okay. But this one, some weeks it runs really good, some weeks it doesn't. Like you can see here, it made almost 10 cents. Went to 18, 11, 26, 24, 11 cents, back down to 6. I may have to address it again, I don't know. But it's an old cheapo phone. I wouldn't recommend them for beer money, but it's doing okay right now. This is another Hot Pepper Ghost phone. As you can see, it was running 6 cents, 2 cents, and then nothing for a few days because I wasn't monitoring it. Back up to 8 cents. This is another midnight, as I was saying above. Here you can see it made 30 cents, 12 cents, 23, 28, 20, 42, and then back down to 12. That one I haven't had to address for a while, so it's one of those where I don't even want to touch it because it's earning decent. When I say earning decent, I've not having to touch it, so this is just all money that's passively going. You can see about 2 nights ago, another blue view. I got back up and going. It went from basically nothing to 4, almost 5 cents. Now today it's earned 24 cents. This is the end of the month, so it usually earns better the last week, but the last couple months that hasn't really held true. I got my Pixel 2 back up and going. This one's a phone that has a lot of damage to it and doesn't hold a charge, so I periodically test it with the CashMagnet, and as you can see, starting it up with 1 day, it already made 25 cents the first day. I call this one my bathroom buddy. It's another, I want to say, On5, Galaxy On5 phone. This is one I used to always leave in my bathroom, and I used to always run mode earn with. But since they started banning accounts, even when following the rules, I stopped supporting them. It's now earning with CashMagnet, and as you can see, for just sitting in the bathroom doing nothing, earned 10 cents, 38, 6, 30, 9, 16, 26, almost 27 cents. Just running CashMagnet, not touching it, not looking at it, just letting it run. It's on the network. Another Nokia. This one's also bloated. 7 to 28 to 8 to 32 to 26. Back down to 8 to 29. So you can see that there's a pretty big change in earnings on a lot of these. So don't get discouraged if you don't see a lot of earnings or consistent with what some people say. I always say if you've got it up and running good, you should expect 20 cents a day per phone. You can run up to 4 phones per IP address, but just be aware that CashMagnet will use a lot of bandwidth. I don't think the bandwidth is justified for the earnings you get, but it is what it is, and it's extra stuff that you can run. It's in theory all passive, but I would say it's partially passive. It all depends on the day, the device, your network, how CashMagnet's doing things that day, and basically just how you hold your arm up to receive that reception. I don't know. You can put a lot of time into automating it to fix a lot of the issues your phones have. Some people will restart their phones multiple times a day. Some of them will say don't do it more than once. Some people say they don't ever restart their phones. The people who have less trouble with restarting are lucky. Don't know why theirs is so much better, because they could have the exact same model phone, you know, and doing the same stuff you are, but they, for whatever reason, don't have the issues you do. Can't explain it, but there is a lot of things you can do to try to tweak it to make it better. Some people are deleting the cache and the data every day and then relogging in every day. To me, that's an awful lot of work just for 20 cents a day. I've heard some people getting like 40 cents a day, but I think they're taking things a little extreme just to get those 40 cents, and probably isn't really worth the time unless they've got like 100 phones, all the same model, across like 25 IP addresses that they have, and they've got the same automation set up on every one of those phones, and they're able just to copy and paste it in. In that case, then it's probably worth their time. But again, they're the extreme. They're not the common person that's running some of these apps. So just keep that in mind. CashMagnet can be a decent little earner. It can be passive for you. If you're lucky and don't have to touch it, that's wonderful. Me, I've never been real lucky with it to make it passive. Out of all these phones that you see listed here, there's only a couple that's actually running really good and solid right now. Probably 3 or 4 that's running really good and not needing touched. But the rest of them obviously need addressed, and I just addressed them probably yesterday and probably a couple of days before that. So they don't always work the way you want to, but for the most part, you can make a few extra bucks every month running the app. I've seen a lot of apps that are way worse, but it is what it is. CashMagnet is a decent little earner, and you can earn a little extra. There is a referral program, like I was saying before. Please use my referral link because it does help. You can see my referral link or ID right here, and here's the link, and I will have that in the description as well. And so you can decide for yourself if you want to help me out. But that's all it is. This is just a chart showing what my total earnings from everything was. You can see my referral earnings are zilch because I really don't promote CashMagnet a whole lot. But the app itself is pretty straightforward inside of it. Just follow the instructions in it, and it'll get you going. If you got any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments section down below. If you got any tips for people, feel free to share those in the comments. I don't mind if you have discussions and point stuff out. When it comes to automation, I'm not going to discuss the automation or walk people through it, but I'm sure others may be willing to share how they do it. But if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button so you get notifications of new content that I drop, and then also, if you wouldn't mind, also hit the like button because that does help my videos get more views. So that's all I got for you today. Until next time, have a good one. Alright, as I'd mentioned, I'm going to try and give you an idea of how some of the CashMagnet phones look and run. Here I've got one of my Ghosts that I mentioned in the video that had trouble with keeping some settings. So I will show you here, running DOTS one line connector, what I mean by not holding the settings. The accessibility is turned off. It has to be turned on. And for whatever reason, it loses that setting almost daily. So now here are my settings. I always set the transparency to 50% because I want to easily get to the stop button if I need to. So I don't want it at 100% because it'll completely cover everything up, and I don't want it at 0 because then I won't be able to see it. Just hit start. It also does need overlay. You want to solve that as the second option. The overlay doesn't seem to have problems staying on, but the accessibility portion does. So as you can see, this phone as well, the whole app just crashed for DOTS one line connector, so I have to start it up. This is a mode phone. They tend to have a lot of trouble keeping it going, and it also loses accessibility pretty much daily. But I turn it back on whenever I'm in here, and then I just hit start and it goes running. So you can see it does install apps that come down. I don't always get those. Sometimes you'll see kind of in the background here that says Firefly's Puzzles. So there's an app running in the background. That's where that transparency comes in. And then there's other apps. Sometimes you'll just see the background, but it's doing passive time. So pretty straightforward. I still need to address a couple of the phones that aren't running right now. Not all these are running CashMagnet. A couple of them run Survey Savvy's Savvy Connect application. Some of them are just doing some of my receipt apps and some other stuff. But I've cut out a lot of the applications I was running, and so I've got a lot of spares right now. But please excuse any background noise. I do have a couple servers running in here, so the fans may be a little loud. We'll find out whenever I post the video.